Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DeChara here once again, live from downtown Flushing, New York. And yes, we still are in the pandemic, although a lot of people don't seem to realize that anymore. But I do. And today I had an awesome interview with my friend Tatiana Slochman. I hope I pronounced her name right, but if you want to watch it, it's in my group. If you're not in my group, Bedrock Business Builders, but it was definitely inspiring, and I'm going to put it on a watch party again, probably tomorrow, because we got a lot more views than I ever got, which sort of like upsets me because she is obviously more popular than me. Maybe because of the content and who I am. And if you don't know me, my name is Joe DeChara. Like I said, I am a CPA serial entrepreneur from Queens, New York. And it was like 95 degrees today in here in my office because I refused to put the AC on. And and why would that matter? Why would that matter? It matters because I'm still here. I'm still working. I'm still doing my show. And which reminds me that I'm also interviewing my friend Craig Duswell tonight at 10 o'clock on with my friend Haley Gray. It's going to be great. If you don't know who Craig is, you can Google him, Craig Duswell, and you'll find out, who he is. But I'm not going to tell you because if you don't know who he is, that creates something called an open loop. And it's almost like every night I'm offering these marketing tips because I guess I'm supposed to. I don't plan on giving because I'm a CPA. I'm not a marketing guru. If I was, I would tell you I am, but I'm not. I learn everything that I say. I've learned from people like Craig and John Limbacher and Haley Gray. And so John taught me about this thing called an open loop, and you'll see it the next time you see like a video presentation, somebody that knows what they're doing. And you put something out there like, oh, and by the way, I'm gonna tell you something at the end that's really, really important. It could be life changing. But before I get to that, and now that's an open loop. In your brain, it's like you didn't complete the sentence. So it keeps going around and around in your brain forever. It never stops. Think about this. If you got all these open loops going around in your brain, that's what they mean by going loopy. I'm telling you. So you don't want those open loops. So seriously, if you want to get anything out of tonight's broadcast, and for all of them anyway, you should really stay till the end because I have a surprise for you. And so that's my story. I'm sticking with it. The name of the show is How You Can Win at Business. And what I mean by that is I want people to win because the more people I help to win, the more I get to win. So when I help a client win, it's almost like I get to share in it. And think about it. If they win and they're making money, it's a lot easier for them to pay me. So it's a win-win. And that's how I came up with how you can win at business. You is another one of those marketing things. Like that's a big word because it used to be how to win at business. And I got that URL. But then I got reminded that so now it's how you can win at business. And the win, WIN, it stands for something. And I can't go into it now because I want to leave another open loop for you. I do explain it in one of my previous YouTube videos, so you can actually go back. And I don't remember which one. You know, I have quite a few up there now. You're free. You know, I invite you to watch all of them and figure out what the heck I'm talking about. So tonight, what I have is another surprise topic that people really don't talk about. I mean, you hear it mentioned, but nobody explains it, and you know, and I'll tell you what the word is. I'm going to reveal this. So now I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to tell you the answer before you even know the question. And the answer is systems. You got to have a system. You got to have a system for this. You got to have a system for that. Well, that's great. But what the heck is a system? What do they mean by a system in your business? I mean, what does that really mean? And how? Because I'm claiming that it's all a system. And you might be thinking that I'm talking about a bookkeeping system and an accounting system, and I am. But that's just one little system in the entire business. And I've really been looking forward to going, covering this because I know that my friend Elizabeth loves when I teach about this stuff. And, unfortunately, Elizabeth, if you're watching, there's no tax savings with this one. I know you like where we could creatively save taxes. But this is definitely a big part of running a successful business. And I don't care if it's a candy store. It's the same principles, folks. And it's simple. And so I'm going to get into the routine tonight. And I have another beautifully well done PowerPoint presentation done by me. And I say that again. I keep reminding people this, like Tatiana, and people that never did this before. 6 months ago, I could never do this. I didn't want to do it. Now it's almost like it's routine. So if I'm doing this, anyone can do it, believe me. And I'm going to start, maybe I'll make it part of my business. I'll teach people just how to do this. Although there's plenty of other people out there. But let me get on with the topic. And before I do say anything, let me remind you that I do have a free webinar coming up. And it's called How You Can Win at Business.com. What a coincidence. It's the same name as my show here. And if you go there, you'll go to the free webinar registration, and all the information's there. It's free. Maybe if I charged, you would be more likely to come. That's what I've been told. If you put a price on it, people will show up. But this one's free. If nobody shows up to this one, I promise you I'll charge next time. So this time it's free. And what else? What else did I want to mention today? I think that's it. Oh yeah, Bedrock University is open and accepting new students. And for right now, like the webinar, the university is free for students. And eventually, I'd like to make money on that. So that's not going to be free forever also, folks. So sign up now while you have a chance. Okay, I am in this for profit. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not doing this stuff for free, and I'm just putting it out there as I'm trying to be transparent. And with that being said, if you go to Time with Joe, you can book a free chat with me. And again, if you want to talk about your business, and all kidding aside, folks, this is free. I don't charge to maybe hopefully put you in the right direction and hopefully give you a solution. That being said, if you book an appointment with me to network with me, you're better off connecting with me on Facebook. I don't do LinkedIn that much. I don't do Twitter, but just connect with me on Facebook, and then we can exchange ideas and stuff. Anyway, let's get to tonight's big presentation. Like I started a couple of days ago, we start off each episode, each amazing episode with a bedrock quote. And this one is from one of my favorites. There is no chance in anarchy in the universe. All is system and gradation. Every god is there sitting in his sphere. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I never saw this one until tonight. I was looking for something that had to do with systems and sequences. And it might not be perfect, but the point is that obviously what Emerson is saying is that everything's a system, the whole universe. And everything inside that system is another system. And that's what tonight's lesson is all about. How systems and sequences will make or break you. Because, and I'm going to go into the definitions, but I do want to mention that unfortunately life is tough. I feel for you. You're going through some hard times. Pain is relative, and it is what it is. We all have our own pain and suffering. But since you decided to go into business, you've just added a whole bunch of layers to that. So like my friend Tatiana says, if you watch the interview I did with her today, grow up. If you want to be in business, you got to be tough. You got to be tenacious. And once you can, accept that fact, you can hopefully start generating revenue and have a business. But most people get sidetracked. It's easy. It's easy, folks. We can't stop the obstacles. They're always going to be there, no matter what. You can't. We can try to avoid the obstacles, overcome them, but they are going to be there, regardless of whether we like it or not. And that's why so many businesses fail. According to Forbes, they say 8 out of 10 businesses fail. Now, you can go with that number. My friend John Limbacher says, and I think Tony Robbins says this too, it doesn't matter, but I think it's true. Given enough time, every business will fail. And it's true, unless you have one of these dynasties, like, the multinational corporations. But most businesses don't survive, and it's complicated and confusing. And that's one of the reasons why businesses fail. And I thought it was easy. My story is, before I got into accounting, I wanted to prove myself as an entrepreneur. So I leased an ice cream truck the summer before I graduated college. And I proved myself. I made money. I had fun. I was my own boss. And I did it like a real business. I mean, I kept books and records. I leased a truck. I signed paperwork. And I was pretty proud of myself, because by the end of the summer, I made a couple of grand. I saved money. I paid my tuition, and I was set for like the next year. where I can go to my last semester, graduate, and then start my accounting career. And it all worked like a charm until about 6 months into my accounting career. What happened was I got a letter from New York State that had a big red stamp on it, tax warrant. And now I had no idea what this was. I never saw this. I was only an accountant for like 6 months. I was still learning how to do bank recs and, general ledger stuff. Anyway, and I was embarrassed. I didn't want to ask anyone where I was working, which I was working at a CPA firm. And I spent 3 nights, no sleep, anxiety, fear. I called my grandparents. I was going to cancel my trip. I actually thought I might have to hire a tax attorney. And I thought my career might be over because I didn't know what I did. Anyway, long story short, I was missing a form. I finally broke down and asked somebody. I asked one of the accountants, what do I do? He told me. I called them. I just had to fill out a form, send it in, and no harm, no foul. And I didn't have to pay. I might have paid a $50 penalty. I don't remember that, but I was willing to pay that. And so that taught me that it wasn't that easy. I was shaken, and I realized, I said, this is going to be a little bit tougher than I thought. And I wanted to know, like I said, so, okay, now I'm an accountant. I'm in business. I want to approach this scientifically. What happened? What transpired that generated that letter? What could I have done to not put myself through that? And so I went through it, and this is the question that I said to myself. What is it? What were the actions? Because it wasn't one thing, it turned out, that I did. Because I wanted to know, what was that one thing? Like, could I sign something in the beginning and mailed a letter? What's this all about? So I went through my actions, and this is what it was. I registered the business because I wanted to do everything correctly. I kept books and records. I documented everything. I kept receipts. I actually had a bookkeeping system. I paid my bills. I stamped them, paid. At the end of the summer, I closed the business. I, signed off on the lease. I got my deposit back. Ate the rest of my inventory. It was either that or it was going to melt. And 6 months later, I get a letter from New York State. Well, obviously, I must have missed something in these other steps. In between, there were other things. Like I actually bought merchandise, I bought gas, I ran my route, I sold ice. So there were a lot of different steps, but I just wanted to know overall what maybe it was something there. Maybe I missed, maybe I sold ice cream to the wrong kid. I don't know. But what I do know is after I got the letter, I had a lot of anxiety and fear. And the solution was that I filed the return. So the final action was actually filing the return, and I think I paid a $50 penalty. And listen, that was 1984. So if I paid $50, it hurt, especially since I was only making $250 a week. Imagine that. How did I even get by? I don't know. So what I figured was, let me go back to that. It wasn't the actions, because actually, I completed all of the actions. I wanted to take 2 buttons out of here. I wanted to take the New York State tax letter out and the anxiety. So obviously, this filed return should have been somewhere up here, or after I closed, maybe that's what it was. So it was really the sequence. Okay, so I could know all the right actions, but I got to put them in order. And how do you put them in order if you don't know? That's the $64,000 question, folks. And that's why sometimes you have to go to a professional. And I'm not using this as a pitch for you to hire me as an accountant to help you put everything in sequence. Although I can probably, for the best price that you can ever imagine, and all you got to do is go to timewithjoe.com to find out what that is. But what is a sequence? So I looked it up. I learned from my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. A, that we look up what stuff means. We don't take anything for granted. So sequence is what I thought it was. It's like things that go in an order. Okay, so you don't do like the alphabet, A, D, F, G. You'll never get, it's 26 letters that amazingly, I can probably do it backwards. I'm not going to try because now I know I can't, but I can do it forwards. You give me 26 of anything and I'll never remember it. So I know there's 26 of them. If I don't do them in order, I'll never get all of them. I might get 23. I'm going to have to try it after this. So I'll let you know the results of my test. So obviously, in my mistake, the sequence of events, I missed that file the sales tax. Now, if I was as smart as I am now, back then, I might have asked the lady, like, what exactly is this New York State tax form that I'm signing? Like, do I need a lawyer? Should I get an accountant? Am I going to be trailed? I didn't ask any questions. What did I know? So obviously I didn't get the right results. So obviously we want to do things in the right order. So like I said, the next time I did a business, I registered, I kept books, I paid my bills, I closed the business. Then I filed the New York State tax return and I didn't get any letters. What a surprise. Is this what business is going to be about? I mean, I just got to organize stuff. And then it was back to being simple for me. Because I could organize stuff, and what is organizing these, let's say, these actions. So I know I got these 5 actions that have to be completed for me to have let's say, a successful day. I got to pick up my merchandise, number 1. I got to get on the route, number 2. I got to buy gas. So if I get on the route and I don't have enough gas, I'm not going to get to step 5, which is I go home with a bundle of money. So, you just can't skip the sequences. And when you have a set of sequences, you can create a system. So you can't have a system without the right sequence of actions. And I hope that I'm getting through to you here. I haven't, I did this. Maybe I need to do pictures. Maybe I can actually have a cartoon made up, like the Flintstones, and do a whole production and show this in graphic detail about how this works. But it's all the same, folks. If you think about the Flintstones and Fred and Barney Rubble, at the end of the day, you know, that alarm, that bird does whatever it does. You know, the guy pulls its tail and he screams, and they all run off. So before that, Fred and Barney were doing stuff, and so they couldn't leave until that bird went. And so that was their daily system. It included, you know, doing their work, and then the thing going, and then they run home, and Dino at the end jumps on them. So that is the system. So let's talk about a couple of other systems so we can bring this home. Okay, so I didn't do the PowerPoint that well, but here's a system, like I said, accounting, and we use Wave apps. I use Wave apps as part of my accounting system. Wave apps is not the system. Wave apps is the software that we use in the process. So the way the bookkeeping and accounting system works is my clients sign up for Wave apps, they register, they invite me, they link up their accounts, their credit card, their PayPal, their bank accounts, and all the information comes into their Wave apps account. Then myself and my bookkeeper go through the categories and we organize everything. We reconcile the accounts. And then you have your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement. That's a pretty simple system, but there's more systems involved. Now, if you've been following me and if you know anything about business, you know that you have to keep your books up to date. There is no question about it. I covered this last night in best business practices. So you have to have an accounting system, and you have one, because not having one is called the garbage bag system. That's what I call it. It's no system, but the transactions are happening and they're being recorded, and eventually they're supposed to go on your tax return. So that's why you need an accounting system. Plus, you need to know what you're paying for. You need a marketing system. Meet Edgar is part of my marketing system. Now, what this does, what Meet Edgar does is it posts for me. It posts my social media. And okay, so I see that somebody is asking a question, I think, on the chat, and I'll get back to that. And I'm having an allergy attack here, so I'm going to try to get through this. But Meet Edgar is a social media tool that helps me with my marketing. It automatically posts like my blog, and it just automates everything. So that's another example of a system. Training. If you have employees, VAs, you need to have some kind of training system. And like I said, not having a system is you still have a system. You might call it the lack of a system or a bad system. But if you have an employee, think about this. How are they learning what they're supposed to do? This was one of my biggest mistakes, that when I hired people, I just assumed that they knew how to do the job. Because I knew how to do the job. If I went into any accounting firm as an accountant, they wouldn't have to tell me what to do. They might have to tell me where the books are, and you know, they might have to tell me some particulars, but pretty much I thought I knew what to do. No, it's not like that. Now I train my people. And two of the tools is loom.com and zoom.com. And Loom is pretty new. It's something that you could record your screen right from your Chrome window. It's a Google Chrome extension, and it's amazing. There's a free version. All you got to do is click the button, and I could record anything on my desktop, and I've been doing it. You can do a 5-minute, a 30-minute, and then just share it with people. And it's a great tool for training. And obviously, Zoom has been around for a while. A lot more people are used to it now because they didn't have a choice. But that's another tool that I'll use for training, because what I can do is we can do live face-to-face, and you can share your screen, and it's a good training tool. So that's the story for tonight. I'm sticking with it. Like I say at all these trainings, take action, because if you learn anything here, it's not worth anything unless you use it. So have an action plan. Think about, and tonight's lesson was really more to get you thinking about how you're going about your business. Maybe I should have said that at the beginning. But it wasn't really a technical training, but just to hopefully, my hope is that what you got out of the training tonight is the way to look at your business. Okay, I thought seriously with the ice cream truck business, I thought I had it down, and I didn't know what I didn't know, and that was part of the lesson. I could have asked. Okay, I could have asked somebody else that had already been in the system. Okay, and that's my parting words of wisdom for tonight. Have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. God bless, and thank you. And if you're watching now live, join me at 10 o'clock, where I'll be interviewing my friend Craig Duswalt, who was Axl Rose's personal assistant for 3 years. He toured with Guns N' Roses. He's a great guy. I went to school with him, and I just wanted to close that loop. I didn't want to leave that loop open for you. So, and that's my story again, Joe DiChiara, timewithjoe.com. Hit me up. Thank you. Bye.